Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the XP podcast. My name is Rob, and I'm joined by my co-host, starting with Austin, the guy who's been gone from the last podcast, was on vacation in the beach. Dude, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm doing great. I'm feeling more rested. Feeling the nice bronze hue of my skin from the sun. Miami Beach is where I was. And it was awesome. Miami Beach was awesome, dude. Like, it was one of my favorite places I've ever been. Nice. Super cool. 10 out of 10 would recommend. It was a postponed anniversary trip, 4 years. But we told the front desk of the hotel 5 years so that we could upgrade our room.
Of course you did. What a man. There you go.
I was like, listen, 5th anniversary, can we get a balcony? And they're like, sure. If we have an open room with a balcony, we'll upgrade you for free. I was like, wow, I feel like one of those guests. Yeah. And then I watched did y'all watch White Lotus on HBO?
I've been hearing good things about it. Is it good?
Yeah, it's really unique, really good. Kind of strange. Not not an extremely satisfying, like, oh, this is amazing, but it's definitely like we watched the whole thing in like 2 days. It's like,
what is it?
It's called the White Lotus, and it's about a really nice hotel in like Hawaii. And so like it's all about how kind of awful the guests are. So this was right after we were in Miami, but we were good guests. But yeah, no, Miami was great. It was awesome. Cool. It was fun.
And our other host, the one who was here, has been here. I don't even know what my intro is for you. Hey, it's Adam, guys. Hey, yay.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, Adam.
Hey. You know what?
I love Adam.
Thanks, man. With all the one who I half expected. You know what? This is Rob. Rob's here. He's our host. He's the one who remains.
He who remains. Thank you. Actually,
1 minute. I got to get my cat his bowl real quick.
Oh, you go do that. I'm going to do the intro. Guys, for those who are watching and those who are listening, this is the XP Podcast, your bi-weekly casual podcast where we talk about all things video games and bring topics to the table for your amusement. If you like that, please leave a like, comment in the comments section, and go rate the podcast on whatever podcast service that you listen on. Also, if you're watching, if you're listening, share this on all platforms so that way it is spread to this beautiful earth that we live in, so that way more people can join in and listen to the greatness as to what we have to say coming out of our mouths. I was gonna say out of our
face holes.
Out of our face holes. Thank you.
Face holes.
If you want to reach out to us with any maybe recommendations for topics, any questions, even if you have a concern, leave them at us at Ambitious Casual on Twitter, or you can even email us at xppodcast@ambitiouscasual.com. If you are a listener, we have timestamps in the description of the podcast, so that way you can jump around to the areas that you want to. Video watchers, you don't even have to worry about that. I break these down for you because we all know that you're just a bunch of lazy bums. So, without that, without much being said, whoa.
That is.
Do we want people to watch our videos or not?
You take this, Austin.
Hey. It's a gabagoo. I will say, guys, if you want this show to not be bi-weekly, you got to start cranking up some views, and you got to start cranking up some listens, and you got to start cranking up some dollars. So we'll get there.
Wow.
We'll get there.
You got to give us some prompts too.
Yeah.
Are we talking weekly?
As a matter of fact, we're on episode 16, and we just received our first email. So I'm very excited. We're going straight into reader mail. And
I feel honored.
Yeah, I know. As a matter of fact,
this is an honor.
It is an honor. And actually, it excited me. I didn't notice this until Adam actually reached out to me about it. Because I don't.
Thank you, Adam.
In between episodes, I only check all my socials or anything that people leave to us. I only check them like the day before we record the podcast. So this email was in between recording dates. So I was going to see it eventually, but Adam did give me a heads up, so I was able to implement it in very nicely into our podcast. But this comes straight from Mr. Irrelevant. He also left us a great review on Apple Podcasts, which is awesome. So Mr. Irrelevant, I appreciate it. I want to start this off, guys. And it's very interesting. story that he has to give, and some questions that we can answer to help him out in his video game journey. Starting this off, hey guys, this is Mr. Relevant speaking, not me. I used to be a bit more than a casual gamer, but I used to be a bit more than a casual gamer, but a wife, 2 kids, and 3 home moves in the past 5 years have completely obliterated my ability to game. The last thing I did was replay the Fable series on my Xbox 360, quote, parentheses, the latest console I have, a few years ago, and parentheses, gameplay still holds up in my opinion, and games on my phone. Listening to the podcast, I feel like I am literally coming out of a gaming coma. I certainly still don't have the time to spend on games like I used to, but I'm hoping to at least jump back in a little bit. I know for sure I want to get a Switch, and at some point was going to hold out for a Switch Pro, but doesn't sound like that is going to happen. In the meantime, however, I have my work computer at home, and I think I should take advantage. I do a lot of CAD modeling and simulation, so I have a workstation, not just a typical laptop, so it has a pretty robust GPU/CPU. I figured I should start by taking advantage of that. And here's where the questions come into play. Where do I start with PC gaming? Is Steam the best place to go? And we'll start with that. Where do I start with PC gaming, and is Steam the best place to go? I want to kick this off to Austin. Austin, you're the one who does the majority of your gaming on Stadia/PC. I do 0 gaming on PC. And I don't think Adam does any gaming on PC either. So, handing it off to you, Austin. I want to get your recommendations. I want to get your opinions. Where do you think he should start with PC gaming? Is Steam the best place to go?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would consider myself a casual PC gamer. No, I don't. As far as what's under the hood, I know like the basics of like a good GPU and a good CPU, and it sounds like you do have a good setup there.
Oh yeah.
I would say Steam is probably the number 1 store in my opinion. It is. I think the library is probably the best, and the Steam sales are absolutely insane. There's crazy sales on that platform, and so many great games. That's definitely where I still buy games. I mean, there isn't really a starting point. It's just like this is where you do it. There are plenty of other there's Epic Games, there's plenty of other stores out there for PC gaming, and those are great, and they'll oftentimes have deals too. Excuse me. But as far as Steam goes, I think you hit it right on the head. Definitely would explore that Steam store. Valve, I think, is just like they are the pioneer of having a storefront like that, where you're just able to go on and just download games onto your PC. So, totally. Without a doubt, love Steam. Also, if you have great internet connection, you can broadcast. You can do Steam Connect, I believe what it's called. And if you have a smart TV or a TV with apps on it, you can download the Steam Connect app on your TV, and you can stream games on there. So your PC will be running the title, but it'll be broadcasting onto your TV. So if that's something, if you want to kind of have a time with the family, whatever, and be in the living room, you can definitely make that happen. So yeah, Steam's great. It's all great, but Steam's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will also. Go on.
I was just going to say, do you have any experience with Game Pass on PC? I know we talked about it a lot.
I do have some experience with Game Pass. I currently, honestly, am not subscribed to it anymore. I was subscribed to it mostly to try out the xCloud or Xbox cloud gaming capabilities. That's mostly why I had it downloaded, but I did have it installed on my PC, onto my PC for a while, and I liked it. It was cool to have access to all those games. I think I only played like 2 games using Game Pass though. One of them was like Ori, Will of the Wisps, and then the other one was I believe it was Halo Reach. I played Halo Reach a little bit on my PC using Xbox Game Pass. If you're a big Microsoft guy and you browse through that library, and they're all games that you could definitely see yourself playing on a regular basis, I think Game Pass is worth it. And yeah, so I do like Game Pass as well. Steam is probably going to be a bit cheaper in the grand scheme of things, though, if you're more set on just buying one game at a time. You know, if you want to work through one game at a time, I'd recommend just going on Steam and finding it probably cheaper. So yeah, that's my take on it all.
Yeah,
Halo's also on Steam too.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, and I don't really play much on PC, but I do know the capabilities of what goes on there. I keep up with the way in the news and how things function. I will say, I was actually gonna say, I think Game Pass is actually a pretty cool thing to probably try out if you want to. Again, it's just $15 a month. Now, not every single game that's on Game Pass is PC compatible. They are adding more and more to it as they go. So I will go in with that knowledge, but like Austin said, a majority of the big hitters are gonna be PC compatible already. So
for sure.
It's just $15. If you're like, hey, this month I only have $15 I want to spend on games, I would say that's probably a cool thing to try out. Another thing that you might want to look into are humble bundles, and humble bundles have always have the best discounts than any other thing in the world. I think majority of them, and I could be corrected, someone please correct me if I'm wrong. I think majority of humble bundle games are PC games, right?
I think so.
I
don't know.
So.
I can't confirm. I don't want to confirm. I don't know.
I feel like I've never seen a humble bundle that's been for consoles. I could be wrong. Someone please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But humble bundles, they go, and there's been some bundles where it's like $20 and you get, God, dude, tons and tons of games, like 20, 30 games. Now, again, a lot of them could be indie games, but indie games are always great to try out because there's a lot of indie games that only come to PC first and then venture out into consoles afterwards. And that's usually how it goes. Along with also Steam being a thing where a lot of indie games always show up on Steam way before they do on consoles because it's just an easier storefront to kind of get things going and iterated. Yeah. And then you go out.
Lots of indies. For sure.
Does anyone have anything else they want to add in regards to where to start buying games via PC?
I guess I would ask, it's still, for nowadays, I know they were doing the promotion, but trying out Game Pass for like $1, right? You get can do like
I think it's like it's like $1 for the first month.
That's so
especially if you've been out of gaming for a while. Yeah, I mean, it could definitely be overwhelming, but just dropping that first $1 and just trying out a bunch of different games that are on Game Pass for PC could be at least a good indicator of where you want to go after that.
Yeah, that is actually a really, really good idea. That's a good option as well. And majority of these places do have free games over time. I know Epic, for instance, a lot like PlayStation Plus. If you're like a subscriber in some sort of way with like Epic Games, you get free games every month. The same way with PlayStation Plus, the same way with Xbox Live Gold, those kinds of things. So always take your time and look into it. But I agree with Austin. Steam is the biggest storefront. You will see a lot of content on there that you like.
A lot of great sales.
But I think Epic is also another version that's probably more cleaner and is way more curated. And is also newer. It hasn't been around as anywhere near as Steam has. So those are a couple options. Moving on, I want to go into the next question. Is there a better option for a controller to buy, or will pretty much any average price one on Amazon do? I want to start this off with Adam. The only reason why is because, Adam, I feel like you're very much so like a controller guy. Like you have more controllers and odd controllers here or there. And I think majority of Bluetooth controllers can work on majority of PCs. Like I know PlayStation controllers, Xbox controllers, I've even seen the 8-bit DOE controllers can work. Is there a controller that you yourself probably recommend, Adam?
I think there's a variety of things to consider. Style of controller, quality of controller. You know, there are probably a lot of cheaper options on Amazon that me being me, I've never even considered because I'm like, I don't think they probably match up. Right. So I think probably the first thing I would consider is actually doing just an Xbox controller, doing the new Series S, Series X version. A lot of good reviews about it. So that would be in like the $60, $70 range. And even if you were serious about it, you could even just, I don't know, you got anniversaries, birthdays, Christmases coming up. Tell someone to buy you a Design Lab gift card. I don't remember exactly how it works, but you know, Xbox Design Labs make you let you pick out all of your own cool colors.
I've wanted Design Labs so bad.
Oh my god.
That's sick.
back for Xbox One. So I was like, not that I read comics, but I'm like, it'd be cool to do like this.
Hey,
oh, very nice.
That's super nice, dude.
It's like the transparent up top, and then it fades into like a solid white.
Mhm.
I think Xbox has my favorite controllers.
It's really
across the board. Yeah, they're my
Yeah,
favorite.
they're definitely good.
Yeah.
So
good on Microsoft.
Yeah, there's that. If you I know this is actually kind of weird, but especially I know it works with Steam, but the Nintendo Switch Pro controller to me is a very comfortable controller.
It is really
the D-pad is terrible, but like big hands, very comfortable. And I know it does work with Steam. You are paying a little bit more for it. Well, you could probably find a deal. There might be able to find like a clearance at Target or something for one. But like $50 maybe on sale, but 70 otherwise. 8-Bit Do is a or 8-Bit Do. I'm not sure which it is.
I don't know.
They're
either.
like a third-party company that has a lot of good options.
Oh, those are great controllers.
But they do a variety of weird things. There's some good controllers that they have. I think Power A is actually also really good.
They are coming
as a third-party option.
They're coming up for sure.
They even have made their own version of a Nintendo Switch Elite controller. So kind of on par with like a Xbox Elite controller would be in terms of like being able to add back paddles and
that's true.
being able to swap out like thumbsticks. So Power A, I think you can actually probably get a decent $40 controller. I would say if you're going to go budget, I would probably look at Power A. I have no idea if they're compatible with PC, but I'm sure we could Google.
I think they are
at some point. So.
Yeah.
Bluetooth.
I'm very much. I think they very easily can. And the thing is that I think we live in a different world right now that I'm not quite sure. And I'm not saying this doesn't exist at all, but I don't think this is like the PS3, PS2 era where you get these Mad Catz controllers and they only last for like a week. I think we're a little far. we're way after that. I'm not saying everyone is, but I think majority of them are.
I would at least find someone that's officially licensed by
for sure,
one of the consoles or platform holders. So like, Power A, most of their stuff has on their box like officially licensed Nintendo. Or kind of has their seal of approval on it. So I would just make sure that you look for something that is verified. Just because Amazon, being Amazon, you can really get down the rabbit hole with some some cheap stuff that looks good on there, and they've maybe bought reviews and stuff like that, and then come in and they are terrible. So I don't know, just you can shop around, but Power A would be my like budget recommendation, and then Xbox Design Lab would be like, you're going to get yourself
top tier.
Nice.
Treat yourself.
I will say in regards to I don't know exactly what you're planning on playing when it comes to the PC. If you're doing shooters, I mean, obviously the obvious way to go is mouse and keyboard because that's the optimal way to play. But if you are someone who very much so rather plays on controller, then I would say the Power A Fusion, that's what it's called right now, is going $80 on Amazon. Its original price is $100, but $80 is pretty good. The Xbox Series Elite Controller 2, which is the one that I have right here, it has a back buttons and everything. But this is like $120, $140. So it is that's a commitment. And if you want to just start with something very simple, there are some other options. Like Adam said, a regular Xbox controller works perfectly fine. I will say one thing. If you are possibly in your mind, and you can think about this later down in the future, but if you're like, what, I want to get into some PlayStation games because a lot of PlayStation games are starting to migrate into PC, especially the fact that they just acquired that new company. I forgot the name of them. That is a porting house to port their games onto PCs. Right now, the PlayStation DualSense controller, the features that are on it, adaptive triggers, haptic feedback, they are starting to migrate over onto the PC. So not all of them have it. Not all of them have it. But majority of a lot of the games that already have these features that are on the PC, they will have those features on here. So again, this is not a right now kind of thing, but that is something to keep in mind in the future whenever you're like, hey, I think now's the time to start digging into Horizon Zero Dawn. And then let's say they add those capabilities. Okay, well then think about maybe getting a DualSense from there on out. Just to finish off the rest of the letter, he continues by saying, on another note, I have always heard that the big manufacturers make consoles so they can sell games, but since computers are constantly so far ahead of consoles, why couldn't companies just sell emulators for less and then still sell the games? I know they want to make money off the console, but they would have made a few $100 more off of me if I was able to use emulators on my computer and buy the games. The only thing I could think of is piracy issues. I guess cloud gaming is kind of the compromise here. Thanks, Mr. Irrelevant. First up, before we get into the last part of his letter, Mr. Irrelevant, I appreciate you writing in. I appreciate your review on iTunes podcast. It's awesome. Thank you, man. I really, really appreciate it. Okay. Who wants to tackle this last part first? Does anyone wanting to go for it?
Emulators on a high-powered PC. Why don't they just do that? I think people are still loyal to their brands. You know, they love having the new console under their TV. They prefer to have that. It's simple. It's purist. It's maybe a little less complicated, not having to deal with an entire, Windows OS or whatever. So yeah, I mean, there is just sort of this constant. There are multiple, I guess, genres, types of gamers. There are those who really love having and owning a PC and upgrading the PC and having top tier specs. They're kind of anchored in it at their desk, and they love playing on the highest specs. And there are even, and what's interesting is that, with Xbox Game Pass, most games on consoles, I mean, almost all games on consoles are pretty much available for PCs. I mean, there's exclusives, of course, and those are the big selling points for Sony and Microsoft. But I mean, Microsoft, pretty much all their games are on PC, like especially their flagship games. Halo's gonna be on PC. I mean, they're all on PC. So I think there will always be a place for consoles, and there will always be a place for PCs. So it really just depends on what you want to do. But I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's interesting that you say that you would have been sold on like buying an emulator. I never have thought about that, like personally, by like getting some sort of emulator on your PC and playing all the games. I don't know. I mean, they kind of already do that with Microsoft. I mean, it's not an emulator, but you are able to play all the games on there.
Yeah.
So
it's a storefront.
Yeah, it's a storefront for sure. So and cloud gaming is that's an interesting field as well, because you're not even gaming on a console that's in your house. This is a server that is hundreds of miles away in California, or and you're just streaming it. So yeah, we're in an interesting place right now with gaming. There's so many ways to play games and so many opinions on how you should play games, but at the end of the day, you just do what you want to do. You have fun with it. If you want to play, if you want to buy an Xbox and have it there under your TV or at your desk, and you just want that dedicated console, you go for it. If you're really into computers and PC and maxing out games, and sure, invest in a PC. I think it's a great investment. Yeah. If you're really casual and you don't want to blow a lot of money on a console, and you just want to jump into those big titles, cloud gaming is a great option. Yeah. It's a great option for those who are not wanting to put in that, a $500 investment in a console. They can just start a subscription and start playing right away. So it just depends, man. There's not really an answer. It's whatever you want.
Yeah. I fully agree with everything that you said, and also I think you kind of netted on the point. It is a purist kind of thing, but at the same time, I think it's also it's two things. One, it's money, and two, it's quality control. I think money is probably the one above it. These guys don't want to sell their games for less money. They want to sell them for as high as possible. I think the people that are the most notorious for this is Nintendo. Rarely is their games ever on sale. They usually, from the moment that you buy the game, like if I went to GameStop right now, to go see if they had Skyward Sword for the Wii, original Wii. It very much so almost cost the exact same amount as it was for the Wii, because that's just how Nintendo works. And you know why they do that? Because we continue to pay. And it's like something that actually came out today. There was this huge Quake Con going on, and they announced a remaster of Elder Scrolls Skyrim. And this was an actual quote from Todd Howard, because people were asking him, why are you still remastering Skyrim? And he said, and he literally said, because he said, we wouldn't be doing this if you all didn't stop buying it. So they only do it because you keep buying it. And because of that, it's going to continue being that way. And they know they can do that. And for me personally, I think sometimes an emulator kind of automatically, that word degrades the product a bit for me. I don't feel like, for me, and I know for some people, it doesn't feel like this is the purest form of the actual product. And on top of that, PlayStation wants to be the ones that ports it so that way it's running the way that they perfectly want it to run. Xbox wants to make sure that they port it so that way it's working perfectly for the way that they want it to run. Nintendo doesn't want to port anything because they know they got everyone locked in chains on their platform, and they're going to continue doing so.
Plus, they are like one of the few manufacturers that do make money on their hardware sales.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're unique hardware. Yeah,
absolutely. So anyways, Mr. Relevant, thank you for writing in. We much appreciate it.